Dead Gamer here. This is a video response to Vince Venturella's topic of the week regarding the Warhammer Community Survey that went out, or not went out, but that's available for people to go on. And I didn't know anything about it at first. I actually found out about it through Vince Venturella's topic of the week. So I went on there and spent a good probably 30 minutes. I wrote some pretty good stuff, in my opinion, anyway, about, the hobby and all that. And, yeah, it was a good time. So if you have the opportunity and chance to go there, you can probably blaze through it if you want and just be a runner for the 50-pound or $80 American gift voucher that they're going to give away. But to me, that wasn't what it's about. It's about just kind of getting a chance to have that communication with Games Workshop. Who knows how far that'll go. But, my general feeling, especially the way that they've changed in terms of their business model and things with dealing with the people, because before they just didn't. You never know. If they get a good response from this, maybe they'll ask more questions about things in the future, and we might have a bigger voice in that regard. I'm not on Facebook. I don't do any of that stuff. So I don't know what happens on those websites and things in terms of if they're asking people on the regular what people think, or if this is just more of a serious survey. And it'd be cool if, sorry, I bumped the computer. It'd be cool if, people responded, because it would just show them that we are engaged as well as they are, because they're definitely putting the foot forward and trying to get us to interact. And, it's been about 3 years or so, I think, since they've kind of stopped being crappy to us in some regards, with the radio silent treatment. But I think, us responding to them is a good thing. And anyway, I'm rambling. So I want to get on to the topic of the week. So Vince asked 3 questions. Well, originally it was 3, and he changed it to 4. So those questions were, I wrote it on a Post-it right here. That's why I keep looking up to the screen. Have you taken the survey? What do you expect to come out of the survey? What happens when what you want, or me, isn't what the majority wants? And the 4th question was, what's your, he asked, or Games Workshop asked, if there was one thing you can do. So what's your one thing? So those 4 questions, these are my answers to those 4. The first one, have you taken the survey? Yes, I have. And it was fun. I cracked a bottle of bubbly, which we're drinking right here. And I'm classily drinking it out of a Miller Lite glass. So, it's Saturday. My neighbors next door are partying, and I'm sitting in my weird bedroom full of crap doing YouTube videos instead of hanging out there and drinking and partying. So yeah, I've done too much of that lately, so trying to cut back on the partying. I'm just gonna party in here with the bottle of bubbly and do some YouTube videos. But anyway, so yes, I have taken the survey, Vince. Thank you for asking. It's very nice of you. What do you expect out of the community survey? I don't expect much, to be honest with you. This light makes my forehead look huge. Look at that. I'm getting the Bruce Willis receding hairline thing too. Jeez, sucks getting old. Yeah, I don't really expect much, only because I think this is probably, this is their first shot, at least to my knowledge, of a survey. So they're going to kind of see if a lot of people are just dicking around with them in terms of stupid answers, which, in all honesty, I don't agree with. this is your chance to talk to them at least a little bit. And, if you don't really have anything constructive to add, I guess if you want to just be funny and stupid, yeah, but that's sort of also, well, unless hopefully they've kind of factored in that there are going to be people that do that, then they can just ignore those and then we can all move on. But, if they take it a little more to heart, I guess, that definitely could be damaging to the fact that they would continue to ask the community questions, because, they're putting themselves out there. Sounds like you're asking a girl out or something. I'm putting myself out there. And, but anyway, no. I need more wine. But, yeah, I think it's a good thing. Do I expect anything out of it? I don't really, only because this is, like I said, the first one. And maybe, I think if this is generally overall a positive thing in terms of how they receive it, they may do more, and then I think we probably can expect things out of that. But as it stands, I don't think this first one's going to really do anything except see how engaged and serious the community is in terms of them trying to be engaged with the community. So I guess, what do I expect out of it? I expect the community does right by Games Workshop in this situation, and they actually take the time and fill it out, because Games Workshop didn't have to do this. So I guess that's what I expect. I expect to see more surveys in the future, more serious ones about certain things, and so I guess that's what that is. What happens when when what I want isn't what the majority wants? That's question number 3. I don't really care, in all honesty. Vince talked about, someone wanting them to bring back the Bretonians, and would it be cool to see that? Yeah. It would be cool to see a lot of things, but the reality is they can only make so much stuff for the money that they are able to invest in it, and they have to focus on things because every army costs money. And if we had to give up the Bretonians and the Tomb Kings to gain like the Caradron Overlords, which I'm not a fan of, but I know a lot of people are, because they are cool looking. But let's say there's only so much that they can do, or do you want to stay with the same stuff forever? Or do you want to have the rules for that stuff that you have, and then new things come out? Granted, the old stuff isn't going to be supported, or through like the allegiance thing where you have order and chaos and destruction and death, you can still bring that stuff in if you want to play with it, so I don't know. I'm not a financial person. I don't know anything about running businesses or any of that, so I just don't know in that regard. But went on a tangent. But the Bretonian thing, I get it. I would love everything to still be available. Don't get me wrong, because that'd be awesome, but that's not the world we live in. So what happens when what I want isn't what the majority wants? I don't care. I was a Gene Stealer Cult player back in 1990. Is when I started. I bought Space Hulk, and that had supplements later coming out, Deathwing and Gene Stealer. I got Second Ed when it first came out, and in there was an entry for the Gene Stealer Cults, and I was all about that. And I played Gene Stealer Cults, and in the when the Second Ed Tyranid Codex, the purple one came out with the new Hive Tyrant, which Games Workshop in their White Dwarf was talking about being the most incredible model we ever produced. I still remember that, because that was a pretty badass model, the original Hive Tyrant. When it wasn't a plastic Tyranid warrior, that had bone swords and a death spitter, because that was the Hive Tyrant. They actually made a Hive Tyrant model. You know, when that came out, I guess we did get mentioned in that. There were Gene Stealer cult stuff in there, but like production just dropped off, and there just wasn't. That was the beginning of the end. You know, Tyranids were taking on a new thing, and I stuck with it. I always did, and I always found ways to justify it. And you know, it all you couldn't play it at a tournament, but I was never ever a tournament player, so that's irrelevant. But you know, I figured out ways to go around it. So I mean, that was that, and I guess with that, you know, and then the Gene Stealer cult coming back out again, and what was it, 2016? I mean, that blew my mind. It was just like, yes, I'm back in the game, like legitimately. So that's cool. And the models are awesome. They are awesome. But so if what I want isn't what the majority wants, it doesn't matter, I guess, because I already have what I want. You know, I have my books. I have my, and I guess if you're a tournament player and you're not the majority, you're gonna suffer, right? Because you're not gonna have what you want, and what you want is what you want to bring to a tournament. And you know, but I'm not in that same situation, so I don't really think that really applies to me. You know, until Games Workshop takes away my X-Acto knife and my clippers and, you know, my modeling putty, and I can't make conversions anymore, then, you know, if they did that, I'd be pissed. But I will always have what I want, because what I want is, you know, to just build cool shit. And that's really truly what it boils down to. So, you know, if the community wants whatever they want, and I'm not a majority in that, then I think I'll survive. I think that, you know, I might even flourish, right? I mean, look at the Mangle guy. You know, he got noticed, and he made his own codex, or army book. And I'm new to fantasy. I played Mordheim, but I never played fantasy, so I don't call them army books. I call them codexes, because I was always a 40k guy. But Age of Sigmar came out, and it was just like, boom, okay, round bases, not in blocks, let's do this. So yeah. But when the Tomb Kings thing, I mean, Mangle did his own thing. He wasn't the majority, and he said, you know what? F it. I am just doing it. I'm going to make a codex. I'm going to commission some people to do some artwork, or I don't even think he paid for it. I think he just went out and, I don't know how he did it. I don't really, whatever. But it's awesome. He did it. And it's right here. Where is it? Oh, nope. It's not right there. I lied. I thought I had it right there, but yeah. He printed out, or he made this PDF, and it's awesome. And it's like, so he's not the majority, but he's still living the dream, so to speak. So, you know, I think that's what's important, is that he found strength, I guess, in the fact that they did shit can it. They were like, yeah, we're done with this. And he's like, I'm not done with this. I'm ready to start with this, you know, and that's pretty awesome. So in terms of what happens when what I want isn't what the majority wants, it's an exciting area to explore. God, I'm getting fat. Look at this. But yeah, I mean, it's really an exciting area to explore. So that's kind of how I feel about question number 3, Vince. Question number 4. What was your one thing? Wow. So, my one thing, and so, okay, well, let's talk about this real quick. You know, I looked at this question as like, okay, do I want to be selfish? And do I want to say, let's bring back the expansions from Space Hulk? Because truly, that's what I care about. the expansions, from more specifically Genestealer than Deathwing, but I said expansions from Space Hulk in my head. I was like, that's what I want as a human, as a selfish individual. Because wouldn't that be rad? I mean, think about this. Let me scoot in and let me drink real quick. I'm gonna take a sip. So, everyone, drink. Okay. I had to drink a little more because I've been talking and I keep eyeballing the drink, but I'm trying to entertain you while you do whatever it is that you're doing, listening to me ramble on about stuff. So, you know, my initial thing was selfish, right? I'm like, okay, I want the expansions from Space Hulk brought back. Because when I say that, the one thing is actually two things. See how clever I am? I'm actually doing two things with my one thing. Deathwing and Genestealer were amazing. And here's my thought process. They already have Deathwing Terminators in Dark Vengeance. I know they're attached to other things on a sprue, and maybe they can't detach them to make them one thing on another sprue. But we can ask for one thing, so I don't care how hard it is to do that. You guys just need to do it, because that's the one thing. Deathwing Terminators with Deathwatch Overkill had Genestealer hybrids in it, right? First, second, third, and fourth generation hybrids, and the new Aberrant guys. I think this is how you say it. Aberrant? I don't know. I don't talk to people, so I don't know how to enunciate things. So I'm calling them Aberrants, Aberrants. I don't care. But I should probably look that up though. But I don't care. Because I think it is a word. Sure, it's a word. But you do the Deathwing Terminators and a sprue from Deathwatch Overkill, and you got Deathwing, right? Then Genestealer, you do the same thing. Oh, not the Chingadoos, not the Deathwatch guy or Deathwing guys. You do the Genestealer sprue again. If you want to be lazy, Games Workshop, I would like you to do new sprues, but you know, it's my one thing. Or you could just do the regular Genestealer cult, like a box of the hybrids, the first, second generation hybrids, and then a box of the third, fourth generation hybrids, the full-on box that has all the like conversion or pieces for like the metamorphs and all that stuff, which would be pretty rad. I don't know what I was going to say before that. I already lost my train of thought. But anyway, and then all you got to do is make a bunch of crappy cardboard tiles. Nice, glossy, crappy cardboard tiles. That's all I want is my Genestealer tiles. And Genestealer is better than Deathwing because you get longer corridor pieces that are just straight from, you know, it's three wide instead of single. So one thing about Genestealer and Deathwing is it made the odds of the Space Marine player a little better because it opened up their fire arcs a little bit. And granted, you did have like the barrels and the boxes, and you can put those in the corridors and block line of sight and stuff. But you know, I was sympathetic at that point after playing the first Space Hulk for so long with my buddy and just constantly playing that first and second scenario, and him just hating me because I would just constantly beat him down. Deathwing came out. I was like, oh, you know, here's some fire arcs for you to feel like you're gonna win. I'm an ass, but yeah. I mean, I think that's that would be my selfish one thing I want is the expansions, because then you're gonna sell more copies of Space Hulk, right? And we all know Games Workshop has some crazy like amount, because Space Hulk just keeps coming up. It's like, oh, we got more of them. Let's sell them again. Look at this, we found more. So yeah, I think that would push the sales of Space Hulk. It would be inexpensive to make in terms of production because you wouldn't have to make any more models. You'd probably have to do the Deathwing sprue over again. Or you can, bite the bullet and just put in the actual Deathwing sprue from the Deathwing Terminator squad, the 5-man squad. So, whatever. I don't care. I'm not a Space Marine player, so it doesn't matter. But just chuck in some Deathwatch Overkill hybrids, baby, and then make a couple rules for the aberrants, whatever they're called. Throw them in that game too. Maybe make them like bosses for a level or something, and you are good to go, right? So that's what I want, and just print out some cardboard, shiny cardboard. But I want my three wide Space Hulk tiles is what I really want. And then I can actually start playing with the new version, because right now, anytime I play and make my own Space Hulks, it's all with the first Space Hulk game, because the second version of Space Hulk, they only did the Space Hulk. And the third version is basically the fourth version without the torpedoes and the few other things. So that doesn't really count. It's the same damn thing. But to get like legitimate 3 wide corridors, that'd be rad. So that's my one want. If that's what I actually asked for on the Games Workshop Warhammer Community page survey. I did not, however. What I wanted, because I had to think about everybody, at least for my response, that's how I dealt with it. I want the archive stuff back. I want to be able to, back in the day, I'm going to reach up here for a second. We had these catalogs. Right? I have more up here. But there was the 9000 code. And those of you who played back then, is you could pretty much, if you knew the 9000 code, you can call up Games Workshop and you say, hey, what I want is, let's see. Oh, see, this is, I didn't do fantasy then, so these are all 7000 codes, so now I look like a tool. But they're normally 9000 codes, at least for 40K. Here we go. Oh, maybe they are 7000 codes. Look at that. I thought they were 9s. It's been a long time. So you call them up and I want 070561/1111. And that's a bionic arm and custom orc weapon guy right there. And you could call them up and they would just pretty much be like, okay, there you go. We're going to send it off to you. And you could pretty much order anything. I mean, maybe there are restrictions and maybe there are certain things that you couldn't do, but in the 90s, I remember too, you used to be able to call up the Games Workshop, and I think they were open a lot longer too, like the hours of operations, they were open way longer. Like, I would call them at the weirdest time, be like, hey, I got a rules question about this, and the guys were like, oh yeah, just do this, and it's like, oh, alright, and I tell my buddy, hey, this is what the guy's saying on the phone. And then, so they would answer your rules questions, and, I don't know how the staff is now on the phones. I'm sure they're cool. But, yeah, it was just kind of neat. And I got off topic a little bit, but you used to be able to just call and drop that code number, and they would pretty much be able to make the piece or send you the piece. And then there was, oh, do you remember the Bits van? There was a van that went around the country and it had a shitload of bits, crap load of bits in it. And I think I'd heard a rumor, I never was able to confirm it, but the Bits van got like hijacked or stolen, or someone broke into it and stole everything, which is sad but also very funny. Just the idea of like nerds committing a crime, because I'm sure not all nerds are fairly introverted kind of people, but I think it's kind of funny, right? You got these people who are generally not very aggressive, and they're like, but I really want all the bits in the van, and they come up with some crazy scheme to just break into this van and steal all the bits. And good for them. I'm sorry, Games Workshop. That sucks that you got taken for a few $1,000s worth of little tiny metal pieces. But you know, your stocks are doing well now, and it obviously didn't bankrupt the company. But and good for the nerds that did that. You know, that just came up with this plan to just, I don't know, that's pretty awesome. But that's just what I heard. I don't know if that ever happened, but the van never made it out to California, so I believe that's why. I think they said in the White Dwarf, and one of them, I think they mentioned the van had an issue and couldn't continue its tour. But it's been a while, and I'm trying to remember the whole story. And I need another sip of wine out of my Miller Lite glass. But hold on one second, sorry. Okay. So, yeah, nerds stealing stuff. But no, I think the one thing I did, excuse me, not I think, I put in there, as I said, I'd like you to bring back the archive models. And because there's a lot of stuff, and you know, I love eBay. I'm on eBay all the time, and I'm on eBay too much. But there's a lot of stuff out there that there's definitely interest in, and you know, I know that they probably don't have all the molds anymore, and I don't know how hard it is to take models that are cast already and make new casts of them, so they'd be like second generation casts. And as long as I think they were honest about that and said, hey, look, we got squats, we got the plastic squats, the 36 box set as a second generation, because I don't think they could do squats because of a copyright thing. But let's just say there was no copyright thing and squats were legitimate, right? Or you know what would be awesome? Advanced Hero Quest had henchmen, and those henchmen models, I love them to death. They are just awesome, just dudes in like studded leather armor, and they just look like straight, I mean, they're just guards, but I love them. I think they look amazing. They got big old fat boots. They look cool. If they didn't have the molds for those anymore, right? But they had their hands on a sprue, and they did as good of a cast as they could, because obviously it's going to be a little fatter because you're casting something that was cast smaller to make the, you know what I'm saying. So, and they said these are second generation Advanced Hero Quest henchmen. And as long as they said that, you know, I don't see a problem with it. With them putting out recasts of their own stuff if they destroyed the molds. So that's what I said. I said I would like to see the return of the archive service, the mail order troll, and that whole thing, because that would be amazing. And I do know that they just upgraded their infrastructure in terms of their production and machinery. I don't know exactly the extent of that, but it sounds like they've done a pretty good job of it. So maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're gearing up a whole section to produce old stuff in that regard. And then maybe the dude who wanted the Bretonian stuff could get them again, you know? Because that would be cool. Because then you know there's no end to it. You know, it's just like that'd be neat. And I mean, I don't know anything about the process. And you know, is it as easy as loading a couple of wheels? Because I remember seeing in one of the White Dwarfs their giant metal wheels for like the Land Raider tank. I think they did a spread in the White Dwarf, and they were showing the metal mold. The metal mold for the Land Raider tank, and it's a big old wheel. It's like a big steel wheel. You know, I don't know how hard it is to calibrate those things and to get them all squared away. And you know, if fucking, I'm sorry, if Bob, don't flag that. That would be horrible. I'm sorry. If Bob had to like roll the steel wheel out and load it up on this thing, if it's that intense, Maybe not, but maybe it is. And, maybe it's pretty simple. So, like a 13-disc CD changer. That'd be awesome. Just Land Raider, boom. Advanced Hero Quest Henchman, boom. I don't know why anybody would want the librarians from Gene Stealer, but Gene Stealer librarians, boom. So yeah, that would be kind of neat. So that's what I put in. That was my fourth question from Vince Venturella. My fourth answer to Vince Venturella was the what was my number one thing, and it was to bring back the archive service. So hopefully this is an enjoyable video. It's been 30 minutes and 47 seconds. That's ridiculous. I've been talking. Thanks, wine. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and got some stuff done. Probably not much, but whatever. And look at that. Boom! Necromunda 2 copies now. Because I realized something with Necromunda. I realized that 1 copy's not enough. That's the bottom line. I mean, you wanna get your gang all up to speed. I guess if you magnetize stuff, you can make the weapon swappable and things. But if you just bought 2 copies, then you're in a lot better place. And the tiles are pretty dang amazing. I'll be absolutely honest. And I'm gonna disclose a secret, because previously I wasn't gonna say it. No, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm gonna keep that a secret. I'm not gonna say anything about Necromunda tiles. No, sorry. So got my 2 copies of Necromunda. Oh, my Lake Town, my 3-pack of Lake Town stuff came in too, and they are amazing. They're a little smaller than I thought, though. I was actually surprised. Like, I thought they were going to be a little bigger, but they're kind of tiny, which is adorable. I mean, the houses are adorable. I was going to use them for Mordheim. The planks are still good. I was going to use all the docks for planks between buildings. And I was just going to use the buildings as buildings, but they're tiny. So, I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, my Lake Town houses came in. Played my first game of Gore Chosen tonight also. My next door neighbor's son, he's 22, I think. I don't know. Maybe he's older. I don't know. But anyway, he came over because he's getting interested in the hobby, and he plays video games, and he knows what I do. And he was just like, hey, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's this. And he's like, oh, I played the video games. And I was like, yeah, well, the video games are nothing near as awesome as the tangible reality of it. So he's slowly been getting into it, but talking up Shadespire a little bit. That'd be fun to play with him. Shadespire, because, he's a Skaven guy, and the Skaven Warband's coming out, and that's going to be awesome. But, and technically he's not my neighbor's son. He's my neighbor's nephew, but I just said that. But that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Irrelevancies. But, yeah, if you do the Black Library books. But anyway, yeah, so, played Gore Chosen tonight. That was fun. I was the Slaughter Priest, I believe he is. The dude with the big old axe and the crazy, horns coming off his chest. And the nephew was some dude with an axe and a pair of lightning claws kind of thing. Those 2 guys. He won. It was close, though. That whole thing where after you die, you flip your card over, and then things can happen still. And that's actually something I want to get some rules clarification on. So, I don't know, maybe go into it right now, but I will, because you've already sat through this for 34 minutes. So, what's another 6 minutes about Gore Chosen? Or turn it off, because if you're done listening to me and you don't want to hear about Gore Chosen, turn off the video. If you want to listen, let's talk about Gore Chosen. So you have a wrath chart, and it's how basically angry your dude is. And every turn, your wrath chart, you've moved depending on what you've done in the game. Your points go up and down this thing. So wrath chart, it's between 4 and 2. So you could be 2, 3, or 4, and there's multiple 4s. So it's like 2 slots or 3 slots of 4, 1 slot or 2 slots of 3, a couple slots or more of 2, I believe. But that's basically the premise. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. I usually go to bed at 8, and it's 10:30 at night. So it's weekend. So yeah, you go up and down this chart. Well, at the beginning of another turn, if I'm at 4 and you're at 2, I get to put 4 of my cards in a stack, and you get to put 2 of your cards in a stack. We shuffle the stack, and that means in that next round, I get to go 4 times, you get to go twice. But you could go 2 times, or you could go first and then last. It just depends on how you draw the cards. So that's kind of a neat mechanic. And my question is, he killed me, like reduced me down to nothing, and I had to flip my card over. And then, but the turn technically isn't over, right? Because on that chart it says if you draw your next initiative card, which is what they're called, you roll on this chart. But it doesn't say continue to do that until the initiative deck is depleted, ending the turn. So do you only get to do it once? Or do you get to do it as many times until you're out of cards in the deck and the game is technically over? The fun thing was he killed me. We were both like, I mean, that game was neck and neck. It was like, he went boom, 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 and knocked me down a ton of wounds. And I went boom, 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 boom. And then he went boom, boom, and I went boom, 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 boom. And then it was like boom, boom, and then boom, 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 boom. And I was right here, right? And he was right like there. And then he took me out. But he took me out, and he had no more, or he had 2 more turns. But once I'm out, you can't do anything. So your turns are just discarding a card and just passing the turn on to the next guy. So then when my cards came up, you roll on the chart and on the back of the card. So once your guy dies, you flip the card over. And then there's 6 different things that can happen. And like number 4 was somebody from the audience who was cheering for me, throws an axe into the arena, and it hits the dude for D3 wounds, which is awesome. So that happened, and it brought him down to almost death. Like, he was on the cusp of it. And then the question was, well, I still have 2 more turns, and he was out of turns. Do we continue to draw from the deck until that round is over? Or do we just end it after the one time that I rolled on that chart? So we decided for the fun of the game, we would just roll until the deck was done. And I rolled a 6, which means my guy stands back up, and he gets to do a swing at the dude. And he stood up, and he swung, but he didn't do any wounds. But how cool is that? I mean, if I did kill him, we would have both collapsed at the end of that turn. I mean, technically he won because he put me down first. But just cinematically, like, he sits there and he comes in and he just goes boom and knocks me down. And I'm just like, I am done. And I collapse, right? And then some audience members pissed off, and he grabs an axe and goes, "This ain't cool, bro," and goes, and he goes, and the dude's sitting there going, pong, and he's like, what? You know, and he looks up, and I mean, the cards are hilarious. And while he turns around to look at who threw the axe at him, as he's bleeding out a little bit, The dude stands back up and goes, oh! And in this case, he just totally just botched it and missed. But so that's a rules question, I guess. if there's any like tournament gore chosen players, that's hilarious. Tournament gore chosen players. If there's any tournament gore chosen players that know how that's supposed to go down because they're just so seasoned in the gore chosen arena, I would love to know the answer to that. But yeah, it was a blast. That game, it's quick, it's silly, and it's fun. And it's frustrating, which is kind of nice, because it's nice to be a little frustrated with a quick game. So we played that tonight, first time ever, and he loved it. And he was like, oh, I gotta get this. And I was like, don't worry, I'll pick it up for you on eBay. And because it's discontinued, unfortunately. So I found it for $40 with shipping, so it's coming. So I was going to originally just have him pay me, but I was like, well, shit, Christmas is coming. I'll just give it to him for Christmas as a present. And yeah, he's super excited about that. But he loved that. And then that's when I was showing him the Shadespire Underworlds, Warhammer Underworlds. In a world of underworlds, one world, Underworld. But yeah, so he's excited about that because he's a Skaven player. And when that warband comes out, I think I'm gonna bust out my Sepulchral Stalkers, and we'll be playing some Shadespire because I wasn't gonna play that game. I didn't really have any interest in it, but I like his enthusiasm. It's pretty neat to see somebody who's just getting into the hobby be excited about something. So that'll be cool. Be playing a little bit of that. And then, you know, once I get all my stuff taken care of too with the fire and the insurance, and I get my garage built again, probably start doing games. I'd like to do some videos, some battle reports, but that's going to be, we're talking a year out at least, just because of everything else, work, and you know, I'm doing this all by myself, so it's a lot of work. But there's my cat, Gray Baby. Yeah, Gray Baby's arrived. Boom, Gray Baby. She's pretty rad. You've probably seen Gray Baby from other videos. So we're winding down. It's 42 minutes. It's 43 minutes actually. Just hit 43. So I'm gonna call it quits and pet Gray Baby and drink some wine, because I got some good wine left. We're drinking. This is Corbel Natural. It's very good. It was actually the inaugural wine of the Obama when he was first, I don't know what they call it, voted into office, went into office, the inaugural dinner. That's the wine they had. They actually had this. It's a very good bubbly if you're a bubbly fan. It's no vintage anymore. It used to actually have vintages, but they stopped. At least this one is no vintage. I don't know. You might have an older bottle. It might have a vintage, but it's a good bubbly if you like bubbly. Yeah, it's not champagne because it's not from the region. So sorry if you didn't know that. Look it up. Now my fanciness is going to continue drinking from my Miller Lite glass. Talking about wine etiquette, and I'm drinking from a Miller Lite glass. That's pretty awesome. It's almost 45 minutes. I got to close this down. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Vince, for doing a great topic of the week. I didn't do the Thanksgiving one last week because I just didn't. I mean, I'm thankful for a lot of things, but that would just be a ramble shit fest of me just talking about other things and drinking. So I didn't do that one. I'm sorry. But normally I do the topic of the week, so I'm going to start picking that up. It's getting me more comfortable with interacting with the computer and just being in a room all alone talking to myself. It's just kind of strange, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with it, knowing that there's people out there that actually want to watch this or want to at least listen to it or attempt to listen to it and then hang up. Because, good God, if you're still with me, you guys are rad. You guys are like champions amongst people. And, yeah, you totally survived end times, and you're just savvy and rad people. So, there you go. We talked about a lot of stuff tonight, and I didn't even feel like I talked about a lot of stuff. But at 45 minutes, I must have talked about a lot of stuff. It's 46 minutes now. I'm going to shut this down because I want to close this out before it hits 46 minutes, because if that's 46 minutes, that ain't cool. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you weren't watching, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.